Hey everybody, Brandon at the Kabuki Strength Studio. Today we're going to be talking about advanced shoulder stability drills, and the only reason we put the title of advanced in front of it is because it's challenging. This isn't a drill for everybody, but if you have reasonably healthy and stable shoulders, this is going to be an excellent way to challenge your shoulder function, your thoracic function in a very dynamic pattern. This is going to be our bear position or oblique position to bear position. We're actually just going to stay in the bear position and pivot between one hand and one foot, and we're going to show you what that looks like here. So Brandon, why don't you get us set up in position? And while Brandon's getting set up and before he does the drill, we're actually going to talk about some major faults that we would see in this quadruped position. This is one of my favorite assessments if I have just almost anybody interested in anything strength training related. I can learn a lot of things from this position. I can learn a lot of things by how stacked their knees are over their ankles and feet. But for this drill, we're looking at the spine and the scapulas. Now, there's two primary faults that I'm going to be looking for in this pattern to begin with. Number one is a very laxed pattern that is really riding an extension, and that's going to be this big kind of lumbar extension. Now if I step back, it doesn't look that bad for Brandon, but this might cause other issues when he actually goes to do his more important movements like squatting, benching, and deadlifting. We never want to train that stability pattern in anything that we're doing if we are interested in getting stronger in the barbell lifts. The next thing that I'm going to look for is an individual who overly relies on scapular retraction or scapular elevation as their primary stability strategy. This is a big tell for me. Now, you're not going to likely get hurt in this position. However, if I have someone who approaches with a big retracted position, a big elevated position, they're going to experience that same stability strategy in their pressing movements and in their rowing movements. It's going to look something like this, or this elbow flaring position, and it's going to be generally a very, very inefficient way to organize your shoulder girdle and your thoracic spine. So those are two major things that I'm looking for from a general assessment standpoint when I see people in a quadruped pattern. And there are certain things that we can do to fix that. However, this is a completely separate video and we're getting a little off track here. We're going to be talking about shoulder stability as a drill from this pattern. Now, just holding yourself in the bear position is hugely beneficial, especially if you're active and you press through your hands really, really hard. This is a phenomenal drill by itself. But if we want to take it up a notch, we can add some rotations about the shoulder joint. So it's very important before Brandon does this that he sets himself up with a nice brace. We'll give him some tactile cueing to expand his lower back or to expand his obliques, but we're going to trust that he has a very solid brace set up in this position. Now, the execution of this drill is going to be posting, pressing through the ground, and rotating about this shoulder joint in a closed chain pattern. Go ahead, Brandon. Good. Come back. Now we're going to do reps at this point. Brandon's going to try to string together 5 to 8 reps if he can. Now that's going to be a lot for this type of a drill. And what we would suggest, Brandon, let's actually do the other arm so we can talk about other side scapula. Stay right there, yeah. What I really want to look for if I'm coaching Brandon or if he's feeling this drill and kind of coaching himself, we really don't want him relying on this trap, and we don't want that shoulder to creep up to his ear. That's going to be a big fault for this drill, and it's not going to be the same intention that we're looking for. So as Brandon's doing this, it's super important that he moves hips and shoulder girdle as a single unit. There's no twisting and breaking at the upper back and twisting first and then letting the hips follow through. We want really complete stability through that arm. So in order to do that, he has to press through the ground as hard as he can. And I like to think about separating this shoulder from head as far as possible. And that doesn't mean going like this with your head, but it really means pressing that ground away as hard as possible. If we really want to challenge someone with this drill, we're going to have them pause at a couple segments. So let's pick 3 different segments here, Brandon. Pause for about a 4 count at each of them. That's good. Pause there. As he's there, he's pressing as hard as he can through the ground. He's not just balancing. Continue a little bit. There, pause. Good. Pressing through the ground as hard as possible, all the way to the end position. Good. He could call it here and drop his hips, or he can go back for another rep. Either way, it would probably be okay. So that's a very, very effective shoulder stability drill if you have the strength to do it. Give it a try. Brandon and Brandon out.